Welcome back to Northern Tesla. We're going on a road trip. If you're a frequent visitor to the channel, you'll notice that there was no video last week, and that's because we're on the road. A 7-hour drive to Montreal. And as you'll see, there's no better way to hit the road than in a Tesla. So if you're curious about what a road trip like that would look like in terms of charging time and cost, or if you're looking for some helpful tips and suggestions for a Tesla road trip of your own, keep watching. If you haven't been here before, take a second and hit that subscribe button. I've taken a few trips in a Tesla, mostly to the cottage a bunch of times and once to Detroit. These trips were in the 3 or 4 hour range, which I find is a sweet spot for the SR Plus. With that type of trip, you really only need a quick 10-minute charge, providing of course you have charging at your destination. And like a stop like that, it's really no different than gassing up your car if you had a gas car. Who does? This time we headed to Montreal for a weekend getaway. I'm about an hour west of Toronto, so the trip is just over 600 kilometers or about a 6.5 hour drive. It's about the same as LA to San Francisco, minus the gorgeous ocean views. With this type of drive, you're having to fully replenish the battery pack at some point, so you're looking at roughly an hour of charge time. So what to do before your trip? In terms of hotels, it's ideal that your hotel have available charging. This of course allows you to leave with a full battery, which will then eliminate a lot of time at the supercharger for your return trip. When searching for a hotel with a charger, there are tons of options available. There's the PlugShare or ChargePoint app. There's also the Tesla website directly, which will show level 2 destination chargers. There's also a few websites out there like chargehotels.com, and I'll have the link to those in the description. But what I recommend is if you found a hotel from one of these sites, or you have a specific hotel in mind that you'd like to stay at, call the hotel directly as they can confirm the availability and cost of any chargers. We're going to be staying at the Westin in Old Montreal, which I found on the PlugShare app, but it's not on the Tesla app. So like I said, it's good to check around and then call to confirm. So planning the route. In a previous video, I suggested betterrouteplanner.com, which is a great tool to plan your trip. It gives you an idea of where and how much charging is required. It's very useful in the planning stages, as you can add a lot of data like waypoints, desired arrival charge, and weather, stuff you can't put in the Tesla app. But because I haven't been on a very long trip, I've only used it in the planning stages, so I'm going to be using it to drive for the first time, and we'll see how it goes. So right now it says I'll need 4 stops with 64 minutes of charging. You can do it in 3, but your charging times at each will be longer. And for me, 3 stops in terms of range is kind of pushing it. I have a 2020 SR Plus, with the original estimated range was 402 kilometers. And these days, the BMS estimates a full charge of 350 kilometers. So if you have a newer SR Plus or long range 3 or Y, you can probably easily do it in 3 stops, comfortably. All right, first stop is in Port Hope. I thought we could make the trip all the way to Belleville, but I think the temperature is kind of dealing with that, so we're just not going to quite make it. We could make it at 1%, but that's a little risky for me. So a quick top up in Port Hope. We've got some bite to eat at the Harvey's. No more than a 5-minute charge, and we're back on the road. All right, so off we go. So we're in Belleville. I charged a bit longer because we're visiting family, so I went all the way to 100%. I just plugged in for the west way to Montreal. Looks like we're gonna have to do 2 stops, but quick ones in Kingston, Cornwall. So I I do like having a few stops like that quickly. It gives you the opportunity to stretch your legs and doesn't make the drive feel long. So the weather's beautiful, a little bit colder, which is I think why we're needing that one extra stop. When I had calculated the route before, it did just say for one stop. So I think just because we're looking at 11 degrees right now, so it's a little colder than usual. So that might be why we're adding an extra stop. But they're quick ones, and we're off on the road again. Here we are at the Kingston Supercharger. This is stop number 3. It's a quick 10-minute one. When I did plug in into the route navigation for Montreal, it told me Kingston and Cornwall. And Kingston would be a short one, and Cornwall for 20 minutes. So I'd prefer just to go all the way to Cornwall and then on to Montreal. But the thing is, in this area of the country, the only 2 chargers are in Kingston and Cornwall. You have nothing else. So I did put in just to go to Cornwall without the Kingston strip, and it kind of put me a little really low on the charge. So with the lack of superchargers in this area, I figured just might will be safe. The problem with the Tesla navigation is it puts you at your destination with 20%, and obviously you don't need that much. You can go a little lower. So I did plug it into the Better Route Planner, and it said I could get to Cornwall without having to charge at Kingston, but it would be low. And then when I did that into the navigation of the Tesla, it said no, I had to stop at Kingston. So I didn't want to take a chance. Like I said, there's not too many superchargers around here. I don't have options. So here we are in Kingston, a quick 10 minutes. The only problem though is there's nothing but outlet malls around. So if your wife is with you, right now mine is in the Roots outlet, so hopefully the damage isn't too much. Anyways, so we'll be here for a few minutes and then off to Cornwall. All right, so we're in Cornwall. This is the last charge before Montreal. You can see my breath there. It's cold. I think that's why we're needing an extra charge. When I did the route planner in a betterrouteplanner.com, it only said 1 charge in between Belleville and Montreal. But I think I had the temperature set at 20, which was what it was at that time. I didn't check the long range forecast. But it is colder, and I think that's why we're kind of just missing our marks. Like I said, I could go to Montreal from here, from Kingston to the last stop with only 1%. So I think that temperature probably would have gave us that extra buffer. But anyways, here we are. Anyways, we're going to charge for about 10 minutes. Maybe go to the bathroom, get a coffee, and we're back on the road. And as you can see, it's getting a bit dark, so probably my last video until we get back to the hotel. All right, so we'll see you in a bit. All right, so we're at the hotel. It was a great trip. We're on the road for about 8 hours. Google says 7 if without on the regular car. So we added a bit of time, about an hour worth of charging. We stopped 4 times, once in Pickering, in Belleville, Kingston, and Cornwall. Um, and they weren't excessive charging. Like the one time we stopped in Belleville, but I had was visiting family, so I made sure that was a stop that we had the most charging. And the other times we stopped to get something to eat. At the other time, another time was for the bathroom. So it didn't feel like we were just out there charging and waiting for the car. It was like it actually broke up the day quite nicely. So you didn't feel like you're on the road the whole time, and you got a bit of break and to stretch your legs, as well as autopilot and FSD. Like you're not while you're driving the car, it was really relaxing. So at the end of the 8 hours, I wasn't tired at all. So it was a good trip. We're staying at the Westin in Old Montreal, which I highly recommend for EV users because there's 6 or so level 2 chargers, J7072, and they don't seem to be busy because when we got here Friday night, the valet took the car and plugged it in, and it's been plugged ever since. So I got a charge Friday night, and when we leave tomorrow, I'll top it off to 100, and we'll be on our way. And it's all included. So definitely a highly recommended hotel for EV charging. And the other thing I noticed about Montreal is there's actually, if you go in, I think, Pfledge, there's EV chargers everywhere. So level 2 public chargers, there's even ones on the street. There's lots of EVs out here. So I was surprised to see that, especially just driving around. There's lots of Teslas. I saw a Polestar, some BMWs, as well as the Hyundai Kona I saw. So tons of EVs in Montreal. So we're back home. On the way home, like I said, I tried connecting the Better Route Planner to the car and sharing the route to it. That part all worked good. It was easy to do, but the actual drive I find just didn't work. It indicated I'd arrive at the first supercharger in Cornwall at 71%, but it was actually 50%, and I couldn't figure out the discrepancy. So it also didn't precondition the battery for fast charging, so I just stuck with the Tesla navigation. Just like before, I needed a longer charge in Belleville because I wanted to visit family and have lunch there. But in the Tesla navigation, you can't set how long you want to stay at a supercharger for reasons like that. It just gets you the most efficient and least amount of time. So what I did is instead of setting the destination for home, I would set it at that specific supercharger. So it would get there with the least amount of charge. So a trick I learned is Tesla will generally get to your destination around 20%. If you want less than that, what you do is while you're charging, you leave your trip screen on and you'll see your destination at the bottom there with your arrival state of charge. While you're charging, that should show up as a negative number, and as you're charging, it will slowly increase. So whenever you are comfortable with leaving, whether that be 5 or 10%, you can just unplug and go from there. So you don't have to wait for it for what the Tesla charge recommends. You can just cut it a little less. For future trips, I'd probably stick with Tesla navigation. It's obviously more intuitive to the car's battery management, and once you figure out how to manipulate it, like I did, you can overcome its shortcomings in terms of waypoints and going to your destination with whatever battery percentage you want. The way home had a bit more charging. It was raining the whole way, which is not the greatest for efficiency, So the total charging time was about 80 minutes compared to about 70 minutes on the way there. I didn't keep exact track of it, but ballpark figures was just about an hour, between an hour and a half. It could have been a little less than that. We weren't in a rush, so we just unplugged when we were ready to go. Whether that be from getting food, going to the bathroom, or shopping at the outlet mall in Kingston, or I think one time we watched The Office. The best part is it didn't cost me a thing, courtesy of free supercharging miles. But the estimated cost would have been around $15. That's it, $15 for an entire trip to Montreal. If we had taken our SUV, it would have easily been over $200 in gas with today's crazy, insane prices. All in all, it was a good trip. The charging, of course, added about over an hour, but it broke up the drive, so it really didn't feel like we had been sitting in the car for 8 hours. A lot of people think road trips can't be done with the SR Plus, but I think it's plenty capable. At worst, you might have to add one more quick stop in terms of charging, and I don't mind that at all. All right, I hope you liked this video and that it took the guesswork out. All right, I hope you liked this video and it took out the guesswork for your next Tesla road trip. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well so you don't miss another video. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next week. I'll have the link of these in the description for you to choose from. Oh my God. If you can't get there with a full charge. This, of course, allows you to leave with a full battery, and which eliminates a lot of time at the supercharger for your return trip. Bauer, stop wagging your tail. Stop. Get up. Go lie down. But a trick I learned. Cornwall. Cornwall? Did we stop in Cornwall? Beth. Did we stop in Cornwall? Was that the last charger? So just like before, I needed this. So just about LA to San Francisco, minus the gorgeous ocean views. So a trick I learned is if you want to get to your destination with less than 20%, if you leave. So a trick I learned is if you want to keep. So a trick I learned is if you set your charging to have if you want lunch for one day, so you can, yeah. Because I know you're sitting there, I can't talk.